would like to thank Anaceli and all the organizers of this dialogue, this innovation dialogue, for the opportunity to talk about G20 and T20. As you might know for now, for the words of Ambassador Caramuru and Ana Garcia, IPEA, together with CEBRI, are part of the organizing committee of the T20 during the Brazilian G20 presidency. We are pleased to have lots of other think tanks taking part on this process during the G20 Brazil. We have the think tanks that are part of the task forces and also of the National International Council. This brings us to around 100 think tanks debating during the G20 Brazilian presidency. We know that the future of G20 depends on various factors, including global economic trends, geopolitical dynamics, and the ability of the members to cooperate effectively. Assessing the effectiveness of G20 is complex as it operates in a landscape of international institutions and forums. We are having at the same time the agenda of the SDG that is quite connected for us with the T20 Brazil, but also with the other T20s, previous T20s. We also have the Summit of the Future and other forum, and also the UN System Forum that has to dialogue with the G20, or the G20 has to establish a dialogue with this other forum. While the G20 has made progress in the past in coordinating macroeconomic policies and financial regulation, it for sure has to improve its capacity to address global economic challenges, such as inequalities, sustainable development, and also stay talking about financial stability reforms and reforms of the financial architectural system. Geopolitical tensions among G20 members pose a significant challenge to the forum effectiveness. Managing these tensions and finding common grounds is key for the success of the G20 and also for the success of the T20. The G20 needs to reflect changing dynamics in its decision-making process. The informal and more flexible structure of the G20 allows it to respond quickly to crises, but it may limit its ability to implement more structural long-term reforms. At the same time, its flexibilities and rotating presidents has a lot of advantages. During 1 year, the leading country can put new topics in the agenda and produce a debate than the more rigid systems of other multilateral forums. It increased the possibility of defining the agenda, but also make it more flexible. The agenda includes a range of emerging issues, such as digitalization, climate change, global health, and the future of work, and also for Brazil, the importance of an inequality and poverty agenda. Addressing this challenge for sure is important for talking about what is important for the underdeveloped countries and also for emerging economies. So it will require the G20 to adapt its priorities and approach all the time and engage in a more broader range with stakeholders and demonstrate its relevance in a rapidly changing world. I also want to emphasize the role of the T20. As a network of institutions and think tanks on G20 countries, it provides policy recommendations, but not only policy recommendations. There is a process of building this recommendation that is as important as the recommendations in itself. As we put this whole range of think tanks from the G20 countries plus to debate and to put in their agenda innovative ideas and also thinking about innovations, it brings to the agenda some topics that are more flexible than the government track in itself. So to take part of this process of bridging between the research community and policymakers is something quite important for the G20, and they should use this process all the time. As a governmental think tank at Brazil, IPEA is always dialogue with the federal government, but not only IPEA, there are lots of think tanks in this T20 process. There is dialogue also with the Brazilian government, but there are other think tanks that are dialoguing with their governments. And this will help to bridge the gaps between the countries. If you use this power that the think tanks has to dialogue and establish a dialogue between themselves and with their own governments, it can be very helpful in the process of constructing a more effective agenda. I think we're trying to do this during the T20 Brazilian presidency, the G20 Brazilian presidency and the T20, but also we have seen this in the previous T20s. So you have to evolve in the sense that we think the T20 as producing recommendations, but also as a process of constructing bridges between think tanks and from the think tanks with their own governments, and then with facilitating the process between the governments in itself. How to be more inclusive is also a challenge for the G20 and for the T20. I know that in the other tables, in the other panels that we will have there in the process of debating about the G20 in the future, this will be discussed about the representativeness and about the effectiveness of the G20. I wish you all a very effective and dialogue between the ones that are participating on this event. Thank you very much.